We're live on YouTube.
Hi, YouTube. YouTubing.
We're back.
What up, YouTube? Keeping it dirty.
This sucks. This sucks. This sucks. This sucks. It sucks.
God damn, that was loud.
That was loud as hell.
We're so sorry, everybody.
I just turned it down right at the end, but
I know.
not when I should have at the beginning. But
Whatever.
welcome back, guys.
Welcome back. Yeah, our fucking production manager's gone, and not that he ever does anything with the soundboard anyway, but we'll pretend like he does.
Yeah, he's got a calming, reassuring presence.
I
So
know.
when he's here, I do things better on the soundboard. But tonight, it's just all hustle and bustle. I don't know what I'm doing. So,
Dude, Super Friday.
yes,
Super
it's a
Friday.
good Friday.
Yeah,
Uh,
super good Friday.
Should we talk about
tell
why?
people.
Yeah.
Yeah, we should.
Well, as I think we talked about last week.
We did.
Yeah, that me and Mike are both huge fish fans.
Yeah.
As everybody that listens to this podcast any more than one time, I'm sure has heard.
Fucking knows.
And they announced that they were doing a tour last week. Much to our surprise, we had pretty much written it off, and we had thought there's no way it was going to happen.
Well, hang on. To be fair, we were both ridiculously optimistic.
We're optimistic, but I feel like we were also being a little bit realistic
Yeah.
and thinking that it wasn't going to happen.
I was gearing up for the fuck you, we're not doing anything.
Yeah.
I was gearing up for that. But then they surprised us and they said, fucking tour's happening.
They said it's on.
Yep.
Yeah.
And so then the lottery opens up for shows that we didn't have tickets to, because we already had tickets to Deer Creek. We already had tickets to the Gorge. And so that was amazing because it was like, hooray. But then they also announced Halloween. They announced a fall run. And so they opened up a lottery for all these new shows.
And for those who don't know, Halloween is like the holy grail of fish shows. It's like Christmas morning for fish. It's kind of
That's
tied
right.
between that and New Year's. Yeah.
If it's not New Year's, it's definitely Halloween. If it's not Halloween, it's definitely New Year's. And I guess that just depends on
your perspective.
Yeah,
and what you're
like-
looking for. If you're looking
yeah.
for a gag or if you're looking for an album cover. That's
Yeah.
what they do on Halloween is they play 3 sets on Halloween night. Normally they only play 2 sets. And for their middle set, they do what they call a musical costume where they play an entire record from another band.
which
And-
is ridiculous.
Yeah. And usually they're, really famous classic records that are fantastic to hear Fish's take on. Like they did Talking Heads Remain in Light one year. They did Exile on Main Street one year. They did the White Album one year.
Little Feet, Waiting
Yeah.
for Columbus.
Yep. They did that, which I picked up on vinyl a couple weeks ago.
They did Bowie
They
recently.
did Ziggy
Ziggy Stardust. I mean, really, really good shit. So that in and of itself is exciting. But the real exciting part is that friend of the show, Bryce Wagner, who was on last week, he fucking hit the lottery.
He did. Yeah.
So he drew a 4-day pass from the lottery, which left all the rest of us holding our dicks, hoping that we were going to figure out some way to get into the MGM Grand in late October. So I triumphantly fucking struck out twice trying to get travel packages yesterday. And then this morning it was down to the last gasp, and we
The
had
final public on sale.
a bunch of fucking people like trying for us. I mean, I don't know. What do we have? Like 7 people?
Eight people, I think. Yeah.
Whatever it was. And my man JB.
I scored him. Miraculously, I was able to get in and pull 4 4-day passes. So,
Amazing.
yeah.
Amaze balls. And so, so we're fucking,
We're,
dude.
we're pumped. Yeah, it's a
Dude,
good
we're
day.
going to see fish.
That's right.
We're going to see fish on
A
Halloween.
lot of times. But
yeah. I mean, yeah, we're going to see a lot of fish this summer, but fucking Halloween is
It's a special one.
Yeah, that is super, super special. Which you've already been to a couple of them, so
Yeah.
kind of fuck you, but I mean, not really.
I've not been to New Year's though, so
Yes,
I'm
that's
jealous
true.
of you on that
Yeah.
front.
Absolutely. But in addition to that, it was New Music Friday. Did you check out any new music today?
No, actually, so I'm all in your hands today.
I
What'd you
listened to one thing because most of the new music that came out today was some other mixtape from some fucking terrible mumble rapper that I really don't give a shit about. Although my daughter is super excited because Olivia Rodriguez, I think that's her name.
She's the Disney Channel one.
Is she a Disney Channel star?
Yes.
No.
Yes, for
Stop.
sure. The one that did like driver's license.
Driver's license.
It's actually a pretty good song.
It is
I
a
gotta
pretty
say,
good song.
I like it. I've taught it to some students, and so I had to learn it and sing it. It's actually a beautiful song.
I agree. And I don't hate it at all. Like, in fact, that's one of the few songs that when it comes on the radio, my daughter gets super excited and I don't hate it.
Yeah.
You know, like
Most of the other ones you hate.
a lot of them. Yeah. A lot of them I hate. But I did get tipped off from Rex Todd. And then we also got an email from Jennifer Stout, friend of the show, about another EP that was released today from Counting Crows.
Okay, yeah, because she was talking about that when she was on the podcast.
Yeah, when she was on the podcast. And Counting Crows I don't think they've done anything in quite some time. And so Rex texted me this morning, holy shit, new Counting Crows EP, you got to check it out. And so I did. That was one of the many things that I listened to on the drive back from Texas today. And I have to admit, I'm not intimately familiar with the rest of the Counting Crows catalog. I mean, I know August and everything after, because if you were alive in the 1990s and you weren't, I don't know, like 1 or 2 or 3 years old in
like
the
my
1990s.
age in the 1990s.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Then you knew Counting Crows. And I do like Adam Derwitz's voice. He's got kind of a unique voice, and he does lyrically, he writes really interesting music. I'm not gonna lie. It's never been one of my favorite bands, but I did check this out because it's 4 songs, like 20 minutes, and it's good. I mean, it's what you would expect, I would say, from Counting Crows. So if you're a Counting Crows fan, you're not going to be surprised by what you hear, and you'll probably be really happy with it. It's
Butter
good.
Miracle, Sweet One, huh?
There you go.
I'm looking at it. It has an awesome album title.
I know.
It's a woman, and
awesome.
she's like laying amongst some flowers and also some like barren rocks.
Yes.
And then her face is covered by a piece of toast that is just lathered with butter. Like way too much butter, I feel like, on that piece of toast.
Hot lathered in butter.
Yeah.
And I'm shocked that Jennifer Stout did not comment on the fact that Green Day released a new single today.
Did they really? I missed it. Did you listen to it?
I didn't listen to it. I'm just looking at it right now. It's called Pollyanna.
Interesting. I wonder if that means they got an album coming out.
I would have to think so, because they're getting ready to go on tour.
Have they released anything since their whole Uno Dos Tres flop thing that they had?
I don't believe so.
Yeah, I think this is maybe going to be the first one.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone's getting ready to go on tour. Everyone better have new music. There's really no excuse.
I mean, what the fuck have you been?
What have you been doing?
If you're an artist and you haven't at least been thinking about new music over the past 18 months, I don't know what the fuck you've been doing.
Right. Yeah. You better be having some new music or ready to just do a fire tour.
Crazy.
You know, yeah.
Yeah. Super hot tour. Exactly.
So,
with that being said, I can't think of anything else. I do want to say this because I came across it again and I've listened to it again multiple times. In fact, I was listening to it with my son Mikey down in Texas, and even Mikey, like 2 songs into this album, Mikey goes, "Who is this again? It's really good." The Morphe tapes. Have you done it yet?
No, Morphe tapes by
damn it.
That's the one with not Carrie Underwood, with
It's
Miranda
Lambert.
on it.
Man, you should
haven't done it
really
yet.
do it.
Yeah.
Should really do it. In fact, one of my goals this weekend is to get down to Marv's, and I'm really hoping that they have it on vinyl.
Score it.
And if they don't, I'm going to ask them if they can order it for me, because it's really, really good. And I desperately want you to listen to it just because I want to know what your take is.
Yeah, no, I definitely will. I feel bad that I'm gonna write that down. So
well, don't feel. I mean, you don't have to feel bad, but
well, I think I said I would listen to it the last time we talked about this, so that's why I feel bad.
It's really good. And if anybody out there is into just like legitimately wonderful country music, you should listen to it as well.
Is it borderline bluegrassy? Or
No,
it's just straight up country. Okay.
It's my favorite part about it is that most of the record was recorded around a campfire.
Right. That's kind of what was
you
making
can
me think
hear
bluegrass.
like you can hear the campfire crackling in the background. And I love the fact that when they get done with a song, they leave the tapes rolling so that you can hear the artist be like, "God damn, that was fun." Or "What the fuck is that song about again?" Like, yeah. And they're like, you get some of that banter from the sessions that they did.
And that just reinforces the idea that they're probably just standing around a condenser mic and just doing it. Maybe a couple condenser mics.
Probably a couple,
Yeah.
right? A couple that they mixed appropriately, but
Right.
I really think that you'll dig it.
I will check it out.
I really think you'll dig it. As will Rex Todd. Rex Todd, you should listen to that because that's what real country music sounds like. It doesn't sound like that Eric Church bozo.
Yeah.
God, I'm gonna eat buckets of shit over that one.
Yeah. That's yeah.
Can't wait for those text messages.
That's the first Eric
through.
Church diss of the night, of which there are sure to be plenty. So settle in, Rex. Speaking of Rex, onlylee.com, Lee Stamper.
Yeah.
Apparently they're actually going to go forth with this chocolate pudding kiddie pool wrestling match.
Is this going to be like a Josh fight though?
You mean where they just kind of talk about it and then they end up being super anticlimactic?
Yeah.
I don't know. I hope they just go
Basically.
after each other in this kiddie pool. Yeah.
I mean, who's going to put together the pudding? Like, that's a lot of fucking pudding.
I'll do it. We can do it.
Wait,
it's worth it.
Like,
I said
now you're
I, and
making
then
it
I
sound
was like, you know what? I don't want to do it by myself.
I
I realized halfway through.
You're like, fuck, that is a lot of pudding.
We can do it. Yeah.
mean, I'd probably be more inclined to just buy enough pudding to fill up a kiddie pool, but
Yeah.
that's a lot of fucking pudding.
It is a lot. Yeah.
I definitely don't want to make that much pudding.
Yeah, especially not off the little tiny snack pack boxes.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah, like where you're making 2 cups at a fucking time.
Yeah.
And you got to fill up like a 30 fucking gallon kiddie
Exactly.
pool.
Or we could just get the little snack packs that are pre-made and just dump them one by one.
And that's what I'm talking about.
Get like 30,000 of those. And we'll be good.
Can I get a pallet? Go down to fucking
Yeah.
Price Chopper. I need a pallet of chocolate pudding, please.
Yeah. I don't even know if that'd be enough. At least a pallet.
At least.
We'll take all the pudding you have in the store and have come in this week on any truck.
Oh, good Lord. What do you say, man? You want to start talking?
Let's hop into it. Yeah.
Let's talk shit.
So again, for those, we always kind of recap. For those unaware, we are going through the Rolling Stones list of the 500 greatest albums of all time, which fucking sucks. Spoiler alert. Terrible list.
It is.
As do most lists, though, unfortunately.
Almost all of them.
Yeah.
I mean, unless it's a list that we make.
Yeah.
Which
We have great taste in lists.
We do. And we're going to make a playlist for you tonight. We teased that we were going to do that last week, but
April Fools in May. Yep. And, but so we're actually going to do that tonight.
fooled you.
Barring any extenuating circumstances.
There will be
none.
there will
though.
be no
Yeah,
extenuation.
exactly.
Tonight. No
So-
extenuation. Okay.
Yep. So we're doing a bonus episode after tonight's episode where we go through and we're going to talk about the first 25 records from the list. So the bottom 25, starting back with Arcade Fire Funeral.
Yeah.
And then we're going to pick our favorite song.
We're going to make playlists.
We're going to make a playlist. We're going to
Yeah.
kind of haggle over our favorite song from each. We're just going to pick one from each record.
Just
So,
one.
Yep. It's the if you only listen to
If
one.
you only listen to one.
That's what the playlist is.
And we have to agree.
yeah. So I think
Which will make it fun.
yeah, it's going to be great.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
stick around for that. But
Yes.
360, Funkadelic, One Nation Under a Groove from 1978.
Fire.
George Clinton led 2 of the 1970s wildest bands, Funkadelic for rock guitars, Parliament for dance beats. But this album sums up his whole P-Funk empire as Clinton spreads the gospel of mind-altering, loose booty rhythms for the body and brain. One Nation Under a Groove is a call to arms, demanding the funk, the whole funk, and nothing but the funk. Another song asks, who says a funk band can't play rock? A highlight for me. It's the same message Uncle Jam has always preached. Uncle Jam. Is that George Clinton?
That must
I
be
love
George Clinton.
The message is, free your mind and your ass will follow. That's a great message.
That's a classic
Yeah.
line. Well done, Rolling Stone, on the writing there.
That was solid. Yeah.
Okay, so not the very last album. So 363 from last week, we talked about Parliament, the Mothership Connection, and it was a massive circle jerk between the two of us and Bryce.
Yeah.
I'm assuming this is going to be a 2-person circle jerk because this album fucking smashes.
Yeah.
And I find it annoying that neither Spotify nor Apple Music can figure out a way to get this goddamn record on their streaming services.
Yeah. It's super weird. I don't know if there's some kind of licensing issue or something. Probably is what has led to it, but because there's other Funkadelic records on those streaming services.
There's
for
basically
sure.
every other Funkadelic
and every
record.
other Parliament record too.
Yeah.
Which I'm assuming they're owned by the same rights company. Maybe not. But this one is not there. And it can only really be found on YouTube.
Yeah.
Or if you happen to have like a fucking vinyl of this, which would be rad.
Which would be super rad and
Yeah.
something that will hopefully weasel its way into my collection.
Hopefully for me as well.
Spoiler.
Yeah. But this album consists of it's called the original LP, and then there's a bonus EP, but it wasn't like a re-release. It was originally released with the album.
Yeah.
So did you check out that bonus EP too?
I did.
Yeah. Good.
Yeah, I did the whole thing. And yeah, I apologize. I never got back to you because we were trying to coordinate what we were going to do. And did you notice that the YouTube video that has this full album has fucked up the order on it?
It's maybe didn't. Okay. So here's the thing.
Okay.
On the back of the record sleeve, it's listed in one order. And then on the label of the record itself, apparently it's the opposite
a different order.
So it's kind of up in the air as far as which, I don't know if that was a printing issue or if that was an intentional, like little mystery thing.
Interesting. Okay. So I'm going to I'll lead with this. There's only one song on all of this that I gave less than 3 stars.
Which one is it?
Into You.
Yeah, I get that.
That's the only one that it just felt, and listen, I put 2 stars next to it. It's not that it was a bad song. It just wasn't as good as everything else, in my opinion. Like, it was kind of simplistic. And the vocals and the lyrics were they were a little bit too screwy for me. Like, it just wasn't really my jam.
On Into You. Yeah, and that was almost R&B, to tell you the truth. That song, it was like kind of a slower. There was a cool pocket groove to it. I mean, I definitely liked that. And I liked the fact that there was a guitar synth going on.
Okay, so is that what it was? Like, the spaciness of the guitar sound on that track was really cool. Like, I did like that. It just wasn't, to me, it wasn't as strong as all of the rest of the songs on this record.
Yeah, and I totally understand that. Yeah, so there were a couple actual guitar players on this record, and then there was a guy that he exclusively played guitar synth, which is like, and it's called, I wrote it down somewhere. It's an ARP Avatar. It's like a $3,000 product if you try to buy it today. But
what the fuck is it?
It's a synthesizer, like just a little synthesizer unit that's controlled exclusively via a guitar.
Okay, so you have to play a guitar.
Mm-hmm.
So it's almost like a $3,000 super expensive effects pedal.
Effects pedal, yeah. But basically, it's more than that because it basically turns your guitar into like a MIDI signal, which is what like a synth does.
Yep.
So, and then you can make it. It doesn't really affect the sound. It completely changes it at its core. And like Jerry Garcia actually used to have a guitar synthesizer. So like occasionally on some later recordings, you would hear all of a sudden it sounded like a flute was playing. There wasn't a flute playing. That was Jerry.
Switched
his guitar to sound like a flute via his guitar synthesizer. So
wow,
you can just kind of make it sound like anything you want, basically. But so that was really cool to hear that. It was on several songs, but it stuck out to me the most on Into You. So that was the redeeming thing for me.
Well, and now that you're describing that type of manipulation of a guitar, I probably mistook that for a synthesizer on most of the tracks.
A lot of them, yeah. I think there were actual synthesizers though too.
Yeah,
because that's what George Clinton does. Is he plays keys.
He plays keys.
He definitely plays some synths.
Yeah. Standouts. Listen, Maggot Brain at the tail end of this. It's a live version of Maggot Brain, and you made the comment last week that you're expecting that we're going to see Maggot Brain, the album Maggot Brain, at some point in time on this record, or on this list. I'll be curious to see if that happens.
I would be so shocked if it was not. It's pretty widely considered like one of the best albums of all time, I think.
I mean, I went back and I actually dug into the early Funkadelic catalog just because I loved this so much. And for everybody that doesn't know, like last week, the Parliament record, and Rolling Stone alludes to this, the Parliament record is a fucking dance party. This is a guitar party, but it's like a funk guitar party that is so much fun. And Maggot Brain in particular, it's almost blues as much as it is funk. And it's an amazing showcase of guitar
of Eddie Hazel, for sure.
Yeah, outside of the spectrum of rock and roll. Because I think most people think about rock and roll when they think about amazing guitar work. but goddamn, like Maggot Brain, and you get it on this live version, but particularly on the album Maggot Brain, like you get amazing guitar work outside of a rock and roll setting in a very, very funk oriented setting, which is fun.
This album was kind of a nice like marrying of his two bands. I almost feel like, you know, you had touches of, you had some horns on there, and you had a lot of this is pretty dance party like.
Yes, well, One Nation Under a Groove, right?
Yeah.
How is that not a Parliament song?
I wrote that it feels like an early precursor to club music. You know?
Yeah.
I mean, I could see it being in a dance club for sure.
Absolutely. The bass line on fucking One Nation Under a Groove is so tight. Like
that was the first thing I wrote. And just the production that they did with it. Like they had this cool thing where the synth was panned to the left and the guitar was panned fully to the right, and then they switched them.
And then they swapped them. Yeah. And you're only getting like that panning and what they're doing with the panning if you're listening to this on headphones. And I mean, most of these, any record I would say is better if you're listening to it on good, high quality headphones, but particularly the Parliament from last week and this one. Like put some cans on and listen to it with a dope set of cans.
And just I mean, so obviously he loves making these crazy titles, you know. Because what was the one on the last one? There was some insane title on the Parliament record, and it's very akin to this.
Super groovalistic prosy funkstification. The bumps bump.
Very
this
long
one's
words.
better, though.
This one's better. This one is pro mental shit backwash psychosis. Enema Squad, in parentheses, the doo-doo chasers.
The doo-doo chasers.
You know who else did that was Isaac Hayes. He had some song.
Yeah.
Just a long made-up word.
Yeah,
you know?
just a super califragilisticexpialidocious type of word. The doo-doo chasers, though, is a phenomenal fucking song. Like the it's like a weird kind of slow jam that sits inside of that song, but I love it, dude. I mean, I really, really loved it.
The guitar was super Hendrixy on that one. A lot of the guitar throughout. The lyrics on that one, though, there's just such silly little ideas that he just kind of randomly yells out. And I don't even know if they're not even lyrics of the song. It's just like little phrases that he comes up with.
Yep.
Like, music to clean your shit by. He said, whatever the fuck that means. And then he just randomly yelled out low calorie logic. And then he said, count the calories in your thoughts. And then he said, music to get your shit together by. It was cracking me up. I was writing these things down
the whole way through. What did you think about Groove Allegiance? The second track.
That was fun. It was like a little play on the Pledge of Allegiance, basically, where the person was kind of pledging themselves to the nation of Funkadelica. It was cool. I liked it a lot.
It had a reggae feel, right?
Yeah, I think a little bit, especially at the beginning, and then it kind of got spacey and psychedelic. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And it definitely morphed. But I really, especially coming off of One Nation Under a Groove, which was just pure funk, right?
Pure pure
funk
almost.
Track, going into like an almost kind of Irie type of reggae feel at the top of Groove Allegiance. Like I fucking loved how that flew. Like the flow from the first into the second, and then like you said, throughout that song it turns into kind of a weird spacey type of jam deal. But yeah,
it gets pretty psychedelic in the middle of that for sure.
Almost all of these do, though, and I would argue that that's primarily because of the fact that so much of this is guitar led, you know.
Yeah, that's kind of like the Parliament record was horn led. I mean, they even said it in the description, this is a guitar rock. And there's a lot that's rock, like the third track, Who Says a Funk Band Can't Play Rock? It's a dirty rock groove. I'm a sucker for crowd vocals. I love that stuff. And it's a cool message because like throughout the chorus, they're talking about who says a funk band can't play rock? Who says rock band can't play funk? And then they started going into all kinds of other styles. And I started thinking like maybe at the time this came out, it was a little more strict. Like bands pretty much played whatever they played.
I have no doubt.
And they weren't just kind of exploring genres. Whereas George Clinton's like, fuck that. I'm just going to play whatever we want, you know?
It was, I will say this though, it was weird after the first two songs to hear this band play a really straight regimented rock rhythm.
Yeah.
Because there was no swing to, you know, Who Says a Funk Band Can't Play Rock?
Yeah.
It was a rock song.
Yeah.
Right. There was
like bluesy rock almost.
Yeah. There was no swing to that rhythm. Like it was very regimented, which is that's rock music.
Yeah.
Right. Like there's no swing in most rock songs.
Plus, it's kind of cool to show their, diversification.
Versatility.
Yeah.
The versatility of the band is unbelievable.
And then on the bonus EP, Lunch Meat Phobia.
Fucking that song ripped.
That was like a metal song almost.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely.
That was like, I remember reading a quote that said something about this record being prog rock. And for the most part, I don't know if I agree with that, but this song sounded like a prog rock song.
Distorted bass.
Yeah.
Like that bass is super fucking distorted on that track. And normally distorted bass is not really my thing, but damn. I mean, it's really good.
Yeah. The drums throughout this album were really good. A lot of the time I was not even noticing them, but then I kind of realized after a few tracks that they're not sticking out. The drummer is just the glue that's like holding together the groove and letting everybody else just do what they're going to do over the top of it. So the drummer was really, really made everything work for me for sure.
Yes. Agree with you completely.
Yeah. But the whole thing's great. I'm interested to ask you, what do you think about this versus the Parliament record?
Man, that's a brutal choice because that's kind of like trying to pick my favorite kid in a lot of ways.
Yeah, I couldn't help but think about it though. Just seeing how close together they were, that was definitely a conversation that had to be had for the people that made this list, at least.
Okay, so if it's up to me, I would probably well, okay, so what's your question though? Is your question what are you going to listen to more or what was your favorite?
What was your favorite?
The Parliament record.
Same. I think it should be higher too. As much as I like this, I think the Parliament one was just an overall better record.
Okay, so I'm going to say that the Parliament record is my favorite because it's no secret. I'm a sucker for horns. And you don't get any of that on this.
And all the stuff that was sampled.
Yes. I mean, just the familiarity with everything from that Parliament record. It harkens to hip hop. It harkens to all of this other stuff that, so from that standpoint, the Parliament record wins for me. But they're only 3 apart, right? It's 363 and 360. Yeah. And if you put this one at 363 and Parliament at 360, that's fine.
Barely a difference, but
yeah, there's not really a huge difference for me. So I'm not gonna get too crazy. Right.
I do think that Maggot Brain will be on the list though. And for me, Maggot Brain would win out. I'm pretty familiar with Maggot Brain, the record. And I think that would win out over the Parliament one for me. But we'll see.
Yeah.
I could be wrong. Maybe it's not on here.
It will be interesting. Can I read Rex?
Yes.
All right. So Rex said, most folks don't know this, but there has always been 2 halves of the Parliament of Funkadelics. Parliament is the dance music that brings the groovy mothership around. Funkadelic is the music that plays in the ship as it cruises throughout this funky universe. That I didn't even know.
I love that kind of conceptual stuff about the band and the legends they create.
I do too. There's such implausible guitar work and beautiful chorus work from the band is all throughout this album. It's beautiful and chillaxed. This could play in a restaurant and I wouldn't even be mad. Great album to listen to as I prep for the Stamper versus Todd pudding bout 2K21. Ding ding in the pudding, throwing elbows in the jello, toe to toe in pistachio, getting slapped in chocolate. If you didn't read that in Cosby's voice, then our friendship has run its course.
Oh, you should have read that part first.
God damn it. I know. I should have read.
I do hope you guys are practicing because I don't think it's going to be easy to fight in a vat of pudding.
In a vat of jello.
I think you guys need to probably start practicing, get your own pools at home filled with some pudding and just start practicing your moves,
You know that Lee Stamper's trained jujitsu in the past.
In pudding, though?
I mean, not yet.
Not yet. Yeah.
Hopefully he's working on it.
Well, he's got a leg up then, I guess I would say.
Hopefully.
All right. Thanks, Rex.
Thank you, Rex.
Let's move on to the next record.
All right.
Before we do that.
Yeah.
I did add it to digital and I would love the vinyl of this. I assume you're in the exact same page.
Yep.
Almost not even necessary to say.
Yeah. I mean, it is kind of ridiculous to have to say it, but But yeah, I'm in the same boat. I added it to digital. I added actually the very first Funkadelic album to digital because I started digging into that. I added Maggot Brain, which I didn't have on digital as well.
Was this the fourth one or what?
No, this is actually deep, man.
Is it?
So Maggot Brain came out, I want to say in 71 or 72. The original Funkadelic album, the self-titled Funkadelic, came out in 1970. This is 1978.
Wow.
So this is way deeper in the hole.
Yeah, sounds like it.
Way deeper. Okay, so 359. The next album we're going to talk about is from 1974. We're back to the artist Big Star. This time we're going to be talking about their album Radio City. Rolling Stone says Alex Chilton and his band of Memphis Misfits were years ahead of their time. When they released Radio City in 1974, hardly anyone heard it. But like the Velvet Underground, they became hugely influential when future generations discovered them and got their minds blown. Big Star came up with their own skewed pop sound, filtering their love of the Beatles through their Memphis soul roots. September Girls and Life is White should have been hits, soaring with the sweetly eccentric guitar chime and the romantic ache in Chilton's voice. So just to be clear, based on that last sentence, that means that they weren't fucking hits. And I'm assuming that when they were released, nobody gave a fuck.
It felt pretty flat, I think, along with their first record, which was also on here.
Yeah, number one record or whatnot.
Yeah, number one record. Speaking of that, we should just start it off by saying that how fucking crazy is it that this band's debut record and their second record, because this was their second record they released right after, both of these are on 500 greatest albums of all time.
Yeah, and I'm gonna say this again. Their first record had fucking no business being on this list, in my mind.
It did have that 70s show theme song on it, so there's that.
I don't care. I mean, I really don't fucking care.
You just don't even care. Yeah.
This one, though, I actually like this record.
Yeah, I liked it too.
What did you like about it?
It's hard to say what I liked, like in terms of why I liked it more than. But here's the thing: I kind of liked the last one, so I'm kind of interested to see what you say about how it was different, because I think simply why I liked this one more is because it sounded like a lot of the music was pretty similar, but the songs were just better as a whole for me. The vocals were a little bit refined, I feel like, which I really liked the guy's vocals on this one. He has like just the perfect 70s voice.
He does.
You know, there were some weird like mixes throughout it, to tell you the truth, and we'll get a little more into that, but I just think the songs were better in general than the first one. But what was so different for you about this one than number one record?
I'm going to have to say just the construction of these songs. And I guess the best way to say that is that with number one record, it felt like, and I'd have to go back and look through my notes a little bit more. And I didn't take notes the same way when we first started doing the podcast. But what I remember from that first record was I hated, even though they were trying to be cute with the idea of the title of number one record, there weren't enough fucking good songs on there for me to be like, well, of course this is a number one record.
Yeah.
So like the play that they were trying to make just fucking fell completely flat on me. But with this one, and I'll be curious to see what I want to hear more about what you thought about the mix, because for me, this is a 3-piece band, but it's a 3-piece band that had a really, really full sound. And not just that, I really appreciated his voice on this. Whereas the first record, number one record, I fucking hated his voice. And I can't really tell you why.
Yeah, me neither. I'm confused because it almost sounded very like the same to me.
Really?
It sounded more refined. Like I think I mentioned that on this one.
Yeah.
But I mean, the tonality was, I don't know. But I mean, it must have just been whatever context it was in before wasn't caused you to just dislike it, which is fine. I mean, everybody has those things. But for me, the vocals were fairly similar.
Fairly similar.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe what I need to do is go back and listen to number one record again and see, compare and contrast the two. I really don't want to because I fucking despised that other one so bad. But this one, it comes out of the gate kicking. Oh My Soul is it's a really wonderful song. Like a really wonderful song. I describe the guitar tone as jangly in it because it is kind of a jangly guitar tone, but the organ, like the combination of the organ with the guitar sound, man, I fucking loved it. And I loved it so much more than what we got on the first one. And that opening track is long. It's like almost 6 minutes long.
Well, just from this very first track, they're being a lot more adventurous in their songwriting than they were on Number One Record. That's for sure. Number One Record, they were all pretty much just straight up like bluesy 70s rock songs.
Yeah.
And this song, I mean, it's a rock song, but it has like a jazz vocabulary to it. The guitar player is playing these like jazz chords essentially. And there's like these diminished lines. There's these dissonant hits that the band is playing together. It's like a blues rock song, really is what it is. But it has a jazz rock vocabulary to it.
Yeah, when you talk about those dissonance hits, like, are you like, I specifically made a note that the chord change that they do around 3 minutes, like just after the 3 minute mark, is really fucking cool. And that's probably what you're alluding to when you talk about, you know, some of the dissonance that they create, because I love that in music for the most part.
Me too.
And man, I made a note of it because I loved it. I will say this though, his voice, it fucking reeks of Boston, right?
Yes,
the band.
Absolutely. And that's what I was trying to figure out. And now you just answered that question.
Fucking Boston, right? This guy's Alex Chilton's voice sounds exactly like the fucking lead singer of Boston.
I like Boston.
And I don't hate Boston.
Yeah.
I don't hate it at all, but I was, as soon as this song came on and I made a note of it, I'm like, Jesus, this is Boston, right?
Yeah, no, that you're definitely right about that. And I think I was trying to figure out who I thought they sounded like, and that had to be it.
How much did you love Life is White?
I gave it 1 star. I didn't hate the harmonica on that.
There was a fuck ton of harmonica.
There was a fuck ton, but it was a featured, you know. It didn't feel like an afterthought.
It was absolutely not.
It felt like a primary piece of the puzzle there.
I almost feel like they wrote that song with a fucking harmonica and then like this can't just be vocals and harmonica. We should add some.
See, that's the kind of harmonica that I like. If it was intentional, if it was like, oh, this is, you know, we're going to write this song and I'm going to write, like you said, if it really feels like it was written with harmonica, we're going to have to edit this part out so Lee Stamper doesn't hear any of this. But what I don't like is just when it feels like an afterthought, when it feels like, let's just slap this on top, you know, unnecessarily.
And that was definitely not the case here.
No, not at all.
Dug that song. Dug Way Out West.
Way Out West was one of my favorite hooks in the whole record.
Yeah.
Beautiful harmonies. Like the vocal harmonies were great on that.
Yes, absolutely. It was really easy to listen to, you know, just super, super easy. What's going on? Like the power ballad, right? Like as power ballady as it gets. I loved the slide though. I love the slide guitar work in that one.
Yeah, that was good. The rhythm section was like super loose on that.
Mm-hmm.
I couldn't decide if I liked that or disliked that. It was just this kind of loose, not tight feeling to it. But it was a good ballad.
I dug it.
The next one, I started thinking, because this is like officially classified as power pop. Did you know that?
Yeah,
that's what it is.
I did read that.
And I was thinking it's really the vocals that make it power pop. Like you take the vocals away and it's just like blues rock, or it's like psychedelic blues rock with touches of country occasionally.
Yeah.
Like, you know,
you lose me on the psychedelic. Like to me, there's not a ton that's super psychedelic in here. But the blues rock, I'm with you.
Yeah.
I'm with you. Absolutely.
I think maybe a little more so than the last one, but yeah, I guess you're right. There's not a whole lot of psychedelicness there. Maybe in She's a Mover was kind of reminding me of like Cream a little bit, which I'd probably call Cream psychedelic.
Yeah. Cream is super, super psychedelic.
Yeah. But yeah, I get that. And then the album ended with 2 ballads. And when they came in with the first one, track 11, which is Morphe 2, it was just like piano and vocals for the most part. And I really, really liked it.
I love that one too.
And I was like, this is a nice cool down before the final track, whatever it's going to be. And then the final track was another ballad, but for some reason I liked it. Like it almost sounded like a precursor to indie pop to me. It sounded like, because it was acoustic guitar and vocals, and that was pretty much all there was to it. And it sounded like indie.
Yeah, I wasn't in love with that one as much as I enjoyed the one before it.
Morphe 2.
Yeah, and Morphe 2 was super short. I want to say it's like 1 minute and 17 seconds, just really, really fast, but
Short and sweet.
yeah, just really beautiful vocals and pianos. I think we should mention September Girls. That's right before Morphe 2, and that's just because that song has been covered a lot.
Yeah, so that song was like by far, it's like societally the most popular song,
Without a doubt.
which I don't really get. I think it didn't stick out to me at all.
I mean, it's fine. I guess that I don't know. It's catchy, really well written. I kind of understand, I guess, why other bands have latched onto it. But I liked Daisy Glaze just as much as I enjoyed September Girls. And that one was 2 songs before that. It was super somber. But
See, that was the one that I thought was psychedelic, is what I wrote on that one.
okay. Yeah, I believe that one.
It starts off kind of like slow and spacey.
Yeah.
But
It's
then
almost ballady. It's almost
it
ballady
changes
in the
like halfway
beginning.
through. Yeah.
Yeah, but then it morphs.
Turns into kind of Elton John sounding to me.
I wrote that it has a lot of depth, and
Yeah.
I like songs that have some depth to them. So
It's a journey.
Absolutely. So I don't know. What do you think?
Are you thinking that this one should be the only Big Star album on the list?
Yeah. Yeah, and that's not even close.
Yeah, I'm probably with you there. I mean, I liked the last one a lot more than you did for sure, but I also remember that I don't remember saying that it needed to stay on the list. But
No.
I think that one of these guys, just because they were so hugely influential to a lot of other bands that came after them, and they were kind of a sleeper band, I think we need one of these guys on here. So Radio City can stay on. I would maybe drop it down a little bit.
Yeah, I would.
Yeah.
It's definitely not north of 400 for me. In fact, I would probably park it somewhere between 425 and 450.
Yeah.
If
Which
push
is
came
probably
to
where
shove.
number one record was, right?
No, I think number one record was like 490.
Was it really? It was that low?
It was literally one of the first. Hang on, I'll pull it up.
So we'll talk about it today.
We would.
And the
I
bonus.
can almost guarantee you that we're going to talk about it today. So Soweto, Boys and Ronettes.
Oh, I also loved Back of a Car. Not to sidetrack. That was a fantastic tune. I love the guitar player style on that one. He's doing this kind of Hendrixy thing where he's playing lead guitar and rhythm guitar at the same time, which I appreciate.
Okay, so I'm horrifically wrong. I was thinking that it was like 490, 493 or something. It's actually 474, which means that we will talk about it today.
We'll still talk about it today.
Yeah, we're still going to talk about it today, but it was honestly, it's much higher than what I thought it was. And still, that record can go fuck itself. It's not a number one record, unfortunately.
Despite its title.
Yeah. So, do you want to read Rex?
Yeah. Let's read Rex.
All right. Rex says, go for it.
Radio City, Big Star. This is a jam band's jam band album. Strong guitar work, great vocals. I can see the influence that this band had borrowed and made it their own on this record. Great album. He liked it.
He did.
He didn't really specify whether he thinks it should be on the list or not.
No. I mean, I got to imagine that he thinks it should be here.
He said great album a couple times.
Yeah. Hopefully he just thinks it needs to be lower.
Yeah. Okay, let's go on.
Yep.
358 Sonic Youth. First Sonic Youth record.
Mhm.
Maybe the only one? I don't know. Not familiar enough with Sonic Youth.
Me neither.
Yeah. Goo from 1990. With their 6th full album, the New York Art of Noise band made the leap from indie to major label, but few sold out so beautifully. From Thurston Moore and Lee Ronaldo's frazzled guitar freakouts to Kim Gordon's ghostly ode to Karen Carpenter, Goo retained all of Sonic Youth's quirks and hallmarks. The sessions were technologically fraught, but they used those added production dollars to amp up their sonic assault. On tracks like Cool Thing and Disappear, they'd never sounded burlier, and yet more true to their alt nation selves.
Did you enjoy this record?
I really did, actually.
I fucking loved it, man.
And Sonic Youth is like a thing. People are really, really into Sonic Youth. People that like this band really, really like this band.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, there was only one. Well, I guess there were two. There were two songs on this record that I didn't put any stars next to. That would be
Let's see if they're the same.
my friend Goo.
I put 1 on that.
And then Scooter and Jinx.
Also put 1 on that.
Wow.
That
So
was
what did you leave?
Scooter and Jinx was like the tiny little short.
Yeah, it was just some bullshit.
Just chaotic guitar noise, but it was really cool. I loved what they were doing.
So what did you leave stars off of?
I didn't put a star on Mary Christ. And I didn't put 1 on Mildred Pierce either.
That's funny because I only put 1 on Mary Christ, and same with Mildred Pierce.
I feel like I remember liking Mildred Pierce. It's entirely possible I forgot to write a star, but I don't know.
So I mean, Mildred Pierce is like, it's purely instrumental. You know what I mean? There's no lyrics or anything like that to it.
It was sort of instrumental, except for at the very beginning, he goes, Mildred Pierce. Which I thought was hilarious. It reminded me of something like Mike Gordon would do.
Yeah, the two word Goofy X lyrics. But I didn't I actually enjoyed it. You know, it's not a lot of thought, right? There's not a lot of thought that goes into that song at all.
No.
But the whole rest of this album is, I find it musically really interesting.
Definitely. The first song that really got me was Tunic, which was the Karen
Carpenter song. Jesus Christ,
I fucking love
man.
that song.
I did too. I put 4 stars next to it.
I put 3, but I really, really liked it. I would give it 4 for sure.
Yeah.
It's mostly like speaking from Kim Gordon, who's the female bass player. And she's basically assumed the character of Karen Carpenter. And about her struggles with her mother, who at first was talking about how she was like too skinny, and then it turned into the opposite situation after she kind of reversed her anorexia that she was having, I think was the situation.
Yeah.
And it's pretty sad, really. Like
it's fucking dark, dude.
It's super dark.
There's no two ways around it. If you know what happened with Karen Carpenter and then you go back and you listen to this song, fuck, man, it's fucking dark.
Yep, it's very dark. And what I wrote down was it's super melancholy. It's almost like doomy.
Yeah.
And I was like, you know how there's like doom metal? Like this is doom pop.
It's like doom alternative, right?
Doom alt rock.
But at the same time, I love the fuzzy guitar.
There were some layers on that guitar, which I really loved. I loved the chorus on it where it goes like to halftime. It's like, you are never going anywhere.
That's right.
You are. And then it goes to that cool chord progression right after that.
Yep. The bass line. Like the bass line through this whole song is like the heartbeat. It's the driver behind it. And I fucking love it. And there's depth on the bass line too. Like, at least that's what I wrote, you know, that there's a certain depth that they had in recording that bass that I'm in. Yeah. I'm in a lot. Did you read much about what they were doing with guitars?
Like what specifically?
Well, so one of the things that I was reading about with Sonic Youth is that they were known for utilizing incredibly shitty instruments that they intentionally tuned to just fucking bizarre tunings.
That would just fuck the tension up in the neck and all that.
Yes.
I just don't care because it's just a shitty like Squire guitar or something.
Basically. And that they would, like, when they would play shows, they would play shows with fucking 20 different shitty guitars that were all bizarrely tuned in different ways, but that's what they were creating layers with.
It sounds exhausting to like remember how to play all those parts and those different tunings, you know,
right? With all these different shitty guitars with different tunings, but when
that's what they did.
When you think about that within the context of listening to this record, I heard it, right? And you can hear a lot of really fucking just bizarre stuff, especially on the guitar.
Yeah.
Loved Cool Thing though. Her voice in Cool Thing is really fucking fun.
Had a Chuck D from Public Enemy on that.
Absolutely.
Posing as LL Cool J. Do you know what that song was about?
No, I have no clue.
It was basically so Kim Gordon was like a super fan of LL Cool J.
Okay.
And then she wanted to like interview him, and then throughout this whole interview process and like setting it up, he came across like very kind of misogynistic and just kind of like a douchebag, and it bummed her out. So she like wrote this song about that. Yeah.
And Chuck D played the role
Yeah.
role of misogynistic, shitty LL Cool J.
Yeah. And then on the next
Perfect.
track, Jay Mascis was on it.
What? Really?
Jay Mascis of Dinosaur
On-
Jr.
On Moat?
Yeah, he's doing backing vocals though. So not guitar, which is weird.
That's super weird.
Yeah.
That's a fucking great song though, dude.
That was great. I gave that one 3 stars.
I gave it 4.
Did ya?
Yeah, so brooding, dude.
That was like the first one, correct me if I'm wrong, but that had a crazy noise rock breakdown.
Yes.
So that was by far my favorite thing about this, was these crazy noise rock psychedelic sections, which usually I don't love the noise rock thing. Like I like Sleigh Bells kind of, which is like a more modern noise rock band, but I don't like love them. You know what I mean?
It's almost an electronic version of noise rock. Though.
Yeah. Yeah.
And this is super analog.
This is very analog, and they're just making as much noise as they possibly can. There's one song that really stuck out to me, Cinderella's Big Score. Okay. Loved that one. But there was this whole crazy section in the middle where it was just nuts. I mean, it was just psychedelic, and they were just playing every sound that they could. And what I wrote down was, I was just sitting in my chair in my living room, like closing my eyes, sitting back, and just like letting it wash over me.
Yeah.
And I wrote down, sit back, close your eyes, relish in the chaotic sonic landscape.
Yeah.
I mean, it was fucking nuts. You could get lost in there.
I said lots of good noise setting in the beginning, and then it takes a turn when the vocals come in. When the music comes back in, though, it draws me right back into that same kind of wash that you're talking about.
Because it was a long intro,
Yeah.
like fully instrumental. It's like at least a couple minutes.
Yes.
And then before the verse came in, it
And
was
it's
the first
just
verse.
fucking noise, dude.
Yeah.
Like you were saying, like it's just this weird sonic landscape.
Yeah.
That you can really.
It's noise rock for sure.
Yeah.
I love Titanium Expose, which
Me
is the closing track.
Me too. I put 3 stars next to it.
Yep. I clearly forgot to star that one because that was like I wrote my favorite track on the album, but then I didn't star it at all. So really, really cool guitar riff. Probably the catchiest guitar riff actually on the entire record.
I wrote that it was super arty,
Yeah.
but in a really good way.
The tone was good. The guitar tones reminded me of Pavement, actually. Not the
Okay.
music itself, but the tones of the guitars.
Yeah, I could see that.
There was another crazy chaotic guitar noise section in there.
That was one of the first songs, or not one of the first songs. That was a song that I noted. There was obviously fucking wacky tuning on the guitars at the very beginning of that.
Yeah. Yeah, you're right.
Like really just fucking bizarre.
Because some of the stuff you hear, you're like, that's not, you can't like physically do that in standard tuning or whatever.
And
they're
that's what I
doing
mean,
there.
right? Like what like what's he playing? Like, how do you even play that? And the only way that you could play it is with normal finger placement on just a bizarrely fucking tuned guitar.
Yeah,
So
exactly. But that was probably my favorite actual song, is what I wrote on that one. Because what I liked the most about this album was not the songs themselves. There were good songs on it. And probably either Titanium Exposed or Tunic was my favorite actual song. But what I loved was just the chaotic landscapes of sound just cacophonies of noise.
yeah, but not in a negative way. Like
No, and
typically
those are my favorite parts.
Yeah, typically
Yeah.
if you hear the word cacophony, you think to yourself, fuck, I don't want any part of that. Or if you hear the word noise, you don't necessarily want any part of that. But with this record, you want more of it.
Yeah.
You know, so I'm with you. Tunic and Moat, because Moat was Moat fucking smashes. But I would say
Yeah,
Titanium
Moat was good.
Titanium, Exposed, Moat, or Tunic are definitely the best songs, if you will. But this whole record is absolutely worth digging into. And so did you dive any deeper into the rest of the Sonic Youth catalog?
Not yet. Did you?
I didn't either, but I'm willing to now.
Yeah.
Like I'm willing to, and I want
We're
to.
primed for Sonic Youth at this point.
And I'll be curious to see, because their discography is deep.
It is.
You know, so I'll be really curious to see if we get more Sonic Youth or different Sonic Youth coming up later
On the
in the
list.
list. Yeah. What do you think about the placement of this?
I would probably drop it a little bit, to be honest with you, but not
How
a
far?
whole lot.
Are you going to
Maybe
drop it south of 400?
I drop it 20 to 30 spaces. So to the low or to the high 300s.
I'm actually okay with where it's at.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it's so different. Like it's so different relative to everything else that has appeared before it. That I like giving it the recognition of, yeah, this is going to be something unique and something that you haven't necessarily heard before. So I'm okay with that. I added it to digital.
Me too.
I'm probably okay with just keeping it digital too. Now, if I ran across the record, would I pick it up? Sure. Because it is like, it's really good.
I would snag it for sure.
Yeah. When it works well. So Rex said, I forgot how great Sonic Youth was in their heyday. This is a multiple listen album just because this album is so fucking good. It's grunge meets Pixies.
I get the Pixies reference.
Yeah, I like that too. It's beautifully experimental at the same time. And the experimental nature of this record is what I enjoyed the most about it. Are all hot bassists named Kim? Seriously, Kim Deal and now Kim Gordon. I'll give you guys time to discuss that one. Own this album and most of the Sonic Youth discography. So
I got vinyl. You think he's talking about?
I don't know. Rex Todd, send me a message.
Let us know if you even do vinyl. You've never really talked about that.
Do you do vinyl? Do you not do vinyl? He probably owns all the CDs, if I had to hazard a guess from how much I know about Rex Todd.
Yeah.
Which I do know quite a bit about Rex Todd. But all right. What do you say?
Moving on.
357.
Let's do it.
1985. Mr. Tom Waits.
Dude, that was good. That was pretty fucking good.
Solid, right?
Did you practice that?
I've been working on it.
Have you been?
No.
Yeah. You could have said you did. I would have believed you.
Okay. Rolling Stone says, quote, I like weird, ludicrous things, end quote. Tom Waits once said. That understatement plays out most clearly on Rain Dogs, his finest portrait of the tragic kingdom of the streets. Self-producing his music for the first time and recording in his native Los Angeles, he went for a sound he described as, quote, kind of an interaction between Appalachia and Nigeria, end quote. Waits abandoned his signature grungy minimalism on the gorgeous Downtown Train, later a hit for Rod Stewart, and gets backing by Keith Richards on Big Black Mariah. This fucking record is just...
Wait.
Dude, it's so weird.
Did you say later hit by Rod Stewart, Downtown Train?
Oh, yeah.
Because I was like, you know what? This sounds like Rod Stewart. As I was listening to Downtown Train. That's so funny. This is such a unique album. Like, it's just so weird. Like, from the very first track... And I was listening to this and I texted our friend Lee Stamper and he basically sent back like, oh my God. And he sent a screenshot of him saying the exact same thing to another friend of his shortly before, which was the first track is called Singapore. And it literally sounds like The Nightmare Before Christmas. I mean, it would fit right in on the Nightmare Before Christmas soundtrack. It's like a sea shanty, but meets, Edward Scissorhands. Like, there's no reason why Tom Waits couldn't write an entire soundtrack for a Tim Burton movie, in my opinion. Really, really cool instrumentation throughout this entire record. The whole record just has such a genuine, I'm looking for the best way to put it, genuine, authentic sound. Like, there's no real studio production on this record beyond mixing. Like, every single thing that happens throughout this is analog. Any sound you hear, he made with an object. Nothing is made in the studio. And it really lends itself to this vibe that this album puts across. And maybe Mike doesn't like that based on the face that he's making right now.
It's not that I dislike it. And I didn't hear everything that you said about what Lee Stamper texted you.
Just that Singapore literally sounds like a song that would be in The Nightmare Before Christmas or another Tim Burton movie.
I mean, this whole record feels like the weirdest fucking movie you've ever seen, right?
Yeah. I mean, it feels like it could literally be a soundtrack.
Yeah. to the weirdest fucking movie
To a
that
really,
you've
really
ever
strange film.
seen.
Yeah.
Okay, so here's the craziest part about this. The first time that I listened to it, I really fucking disliked it.
I'm close to you. I wouldn't say that I really fucking disliked it, but I didn't love it.
I very much, man, I really disliked it. Like it felt fucking goofy and it felt stupid and
it felt contrived to me at first.
Yeah, I mean, it's phony, right?
Yeah.
But then I listened to it a second time, and there were 2 or 3 songs that I was like, man, you know what? That's actually a really good song. And then I listened to it a third time, and I was like,
you're like, God fucking damn it. Okay, I like it.
well, I don't even know that. I don't know if I like it, but I appreciate most of it.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Definitely. And I will say I came to like it. Whether that means I like Tom Waits or not, I don't know. Tom Waits, he's always been a bit of an oddball to me, and he does these weird things with his voice that to me don't feel super genuine all the time. Like sometimes it feels like he's kind of faking whatever voice he's doing. And he has this wide range of voices that he does. And a lot of the times it just kind of sounds like he's not that's not really what his singing voice is. And he's forcing it, you know?
Yeah.
And it annoys me at times. Because there are other people like you listen to, I don't even know who I would compare his voice to. Like you listen to, and this is not really a great comparison, but you listen to like Louis Armstrong, and his voice is a similar gravelly in that. Because the thing is, Tom Waits does a variety of voices, but he does this like
fucking characters almost.
He does this like gravelly voice on sometimes a lot. I would say like
lot.
At least a third of the time, and that you could compare to Louis Armstrong. But when Louis Armstrong does it, it sounds like that's exactly what his voice is supposed to sound like. When Tom Waits does it, it sounds a little fake to me, I gotta say. But I don't hate it either, and I don't even dislike it. And just like you said, the more I listened to this, the more I liked it. There's something about the fact that this album is just so authentic, about the fact that every single sound he made was real, and he was like for example, when he couldn't get the drum sound that he wanted, I don't know if you read this far into it, he literally took a 2x4 into the bathroom and smacked it on the toilet and recorded that. And that was what he used for a snare drum sound on a couple of these tunes.
What?
The specific song that I noticed that on was Big Black Mariah.
He did that on Big Black Mariah?
Yeah, if you listen to that, especially you can hear it very clearly at the end as the song is like fading out. You can hear a huge smack noise. And I'm pretty sure that's probably what that was. He was just smacking a 2x4. He took the microphone to the bathroom and recorded it himself smacking the toilet with the 2x4. Like he has no compromise when it comes to sounds. Like he wants to make every single piece of it, which is cool. There's something to be said for that.
What was your favorite song on this record?
Let me think about that for a second. It's a toss-up between Gun Street Girl.
Mm-hmm.
I really like that one.
Yep, I did too.
And
the
then
banjo, dude. The banjo on Gun Street Girl.
Banjo was great. And it's like,
spectacular.
Joan, he's long gone. Yep. There's some cool little hooks on that. And then Time.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
All right, I feel justified now. That's
a gorgeous fucking
Time
song.
Is fucking spectacularly beautiful. Right. And that was probably the point that I got to on this record where now I will say this, he also gets me with the marimba. And that's funny because Lee Stamper was asking you for lessons on the marimba, I think. But his use of the marimba is,
I don't play the marimba, Lee Stamper.
Yeah. There's a lot of marimba throughout most of this record, and I'm a huge sucker for the marimba. Like, I really, really love it. So
because you never hear it.
You never hear it.
You hear it in Frank Zappa? Who else do you know that has a marimba in the band?
Well, and that's funny that you mentioned Zappa because it is pronounced in Zappa. Like, Zappa is one of the few artists that you hear it and he doesn't bury it like it's not buried in a mix. You know what I mean? Like it's
like a feature.
It's like a feature instrument, and that happens here. Diamonds and Gold. I love
even the first track, dude.
Yeah, Singapore. Yeah, absolutely. But Time is man, Time is just so spectacular. There's a weight to that song.
There really is. And for me, what I wrote down was it feels like a funeral ballad.
Yeah.
It feels like a song that would be sung at a funeral. And
the accordion. Fuck, dude. The accordion is spectacular.
It was really good.
Beautiful.
Good acoustic guitar part. But it was so beautiful. Regardless of the funeral comment I made, I don't know if this was why or not, but just the song made me feel really, really sad.
Yeah.
I got really sad listening to it.
Yeah.
I couldn't put a finger on why. It wasn't really the lyrics. I mean, maybe it was, because I don't really know if the lyrical theme was like time running out or whatever it was. But
yeah, and I didn't make note of that either.
I just felt sad after listening to it. But it was like, wow, his song really made me feel that way. You know?
It's pretty, right?
Yeah.
Which, if you listen to Tom Waits' voice on most of these songs, pretty is not a word that you would use to describe his voice.
Because then you have Rain Dogs right after that.
Yeah, but you can have settings where his voice can really, really be just beautifully touching.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what I think that song is what ended up really turning me on this record.
Was Time.
Yeah.
It was kind of, for me, it was like there was that song and Diamonds and Gold I liked a lot. Clap Hands I liked a lot. And like once I started to like those songs, it was like a gateway to liking the other songs.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And that's what I did too. Blind Love also, that's one of the Keith Richards features on here.
Yep. There was a few of those for sure.
Yeah.
What did you think of Ninth and Hennepin?
Fucking. I mean, it's basically beat poetry.
I fucking loved that.
There was basically
something so transporting about that. Like, I felt like I was in like the underbelly of New York in like the 1980s, you know?
Did you know that? So that song had a bowed saw on it, which is the last time that we heard a bowed saw was Neutral Milk Hotel.
Oh, was it?
Yeah. A musical saw is another word for it. But that's like
Jeff Mangum and Tom Waits, I'm sure, are kind of similar spirits.
I'm sure that they're very simpatico.
Yeah.
In so many ways. I'm with you though. I mean, I put a star next to Ninth and Hennepin.
I mean, I feel like I was watching a film noir, like a fucking like 80s noir movie.
Yes.
Is what it made me feel like I was watching like a
Sin City almost.
Or
right?
Chinatown or something, you know what I mean?
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And just such a cool vibe that I got listening to that. And he's just kind of speaking. He talks about like, I can see it all through the windows of the grimy midnight train and stuff like that. And it's just like
noir is a beautiful way to describe it, but to me, like it's spoken word, right?
Yeah,
it's spoken word. It's like slam poetry with a little bit of music in the background, but it's really about the story. It's cool. It's cool.
The songs I didn't love Hang Down Your Head. I didn't love Downtown Train. Downtown Train I liked a little bit more, but the reason I didn't like these two songs is because he affected this similar voice on both of these that sounded like he was trying to be Rod Stewart, which is funny because Rod Stewart kind of recorded this first song eventually. But I didn't like the voice. I didn't like the voice he was doing on those. It came across very cheesy and not legit. And then the song that this is too bad because I like the song, but his voice just could not do it at all. I talked to Mike a little bit about this before, but it's the final track. Anywhere I Lay My Head, I just wrote down, like, I hate to say it, but his voice is just way too much here. He's like, there's just way too much graveliness. It doesn't feel like it sounds like he's straining to make it sound the way it is. Like he's like you could, and it's not that he's like straining to sing. He's straining to sing that way. And like, he could definitely just sing it and not make it sound the way it is. But it's just super abrasive. It's gravelly to the point of like ridiculousness, borderline annoying. The song is really nice. It's like a good melody. I wish he just sang it better.
I wrote, this is so strange, but what else would you expect to close this album?
Yeah. At the very end though, there was like this, like it turned into like a swing big band.
Yeah. The horns.
And I liked that. Yeah.
Yeah. It was super discordant on the horns too. Okay. Let's read Rex. Rex says, I'm going to be honest with you guys again. Never listen to Tom Waits. So here goes nothing. Singapore reminds me of something you would hear at a third-rate carnival at night, just outside the old haunted house, creepy as hell, impressive as a motherfucker. The more I listen to this album, it gets better and better.
Yeah,
it's innovative, a genius cyclone of every possible 1900 style of music you can possibly imagine. I love this album. There aren't enough stars to give for this record.
Wow, that really ramped up as he wrote.
That's what I was just going to say. So I completely understand the sentiment. As we talked about before I ran away and ditched you alone, the more I listened to this record,
wow,
the more I did enjoy it,
yeah,
and the more that it grew on me. But I have to be brutally honest and say, I actually never want to listen to this record again.
Yeah, I will. Fuck. I hate to say it, but I will. I don't hate to say it. It was good. It grew on me big time. And not that, again, I don't even know that I like Tom Waits, but I like what he did here.
I feel like it grew on me like a mold.
As a mold would. Yeah.
I mean, seriously, though.
Because a mold kind of grows exponentially, too. So maybe you need to let's do it one more time and you're just going to fucking love it, dude. You're going to be like, listen, Tom Waits is the shit. Fuck Fish Tour. I'm going on Tom Waits tour this summer.
No, I am going to go on Fish Tour this summer. I'm not going to go on Tom Waits tour. I do think that your mold analogy I do think it's spot on though. Because if I will end up listening to it again. I'll probably end up continuing to like it more and more. What do you want to do with this? What are you going to leave it where it's at on the list? Are you going to move it up? Or are you going to move it down?
Dude, I'm leaving it right where it is. And if you said move it up, I wouldn't argue. I would probably argue if you said move it down. Are you going to move it down?
No.
I just think it's so unique. It's such a vibe. Like few other albums make me feel the way this one does. I get a certain feeling when I listen to it.
I'm not gonna touch it. Yeah. I'm not gonna touch it. I'm gonna try like hell to never listen to it again. And I'm gonna lose. Like I'm gonna fail in that.
It's like heroin.
It's so fucking weird, dude. It's so weird, but I'm so attracted to those same weird things that's why I'm going to wind up going back to it. And in 10 years from now, I'm probably going to argue that this should have been higher by 150. I could see myself getting there.
Yeah.
I don't want to, though.
You're going to try to avoid that at all costs.
Well, because it feels like you were saying, it almost feels contrived.
Yeah. Well, and his voice is kind of what I meant by that. But not the songs for me. You think the songs felt contrived?
Well, I mean, contrived just means created. So all these songs are contrived.
When I think contrived, I think like forced.
Hmm.
What is the definition of contrived?
To do this to us. What is?
Well, deliberately created rather than arising naturally or spontaneously.
So clearly,
kind of we're both right.
So clearly, all of these songs were indeed contrived.
Well, every song ever, yeah,
every song is contrived. Listen, this record's unique.
Yeah, it is. Let's do that. If you're going to listen to one, and we'll do it again when we get to it. But if you're going to tell someone to listen to one song? Just because I'm curious about your answer to that. Yeah, time. And maybe Ninth and Hennepin, just because it's not even a song. It's like a poem.
That's the only reason why I would not say that.
Yeah.
Because if I told somebody, listen to this one, I could see them coming back on me and saying, that wasn't even a song. But like, why the music? Fuck, yeah, why the fuck did you have me listen to that? Nobody would do that with Time.
Yeah.
Now, Time is beautiful. The first time that you listen to Time, you might be off-put by his voice. You might be off-put by the construction of the song to a certain extent, although it's probably not going to be song construction. It's probably going to be his voice that's off-putting to anybody and that might like shoo them away. But that's where, you know, again, it took me fucking the fourth listen to this record before I was ready to give in and just accept it for what it is. And I think that accepting it for what it is accepting it for a really fucking uniquely good piece of music.
Yeah.
I mean, a really, really uniquely good piece.
If nothing else, this
art.
is, like you said, unique. Extremely.
Yeah. It's unbelievably unique and very artistic. So, all right.
Move on.
Let's do it.
Okay.
Let's round this out.
Coming in at 356, we have Dr. John Gree.
That's
okay. I thought so.
Gree.
Mac Ribbenack was a New Orleans piano player on songs for Professor Longhair and Frankie Ford, who moved to LA in the 60s, where he played on Phil Spector sessions and encountered California psychedelia. Rechristening himself Dr. John Crow the Night Tripper, he made this swamp funk classic. Gree blends New Orleans R&B, voodoo chants, and chemical inspiration. The groovy Afro-Caribbean percussion and creaky sound effects aren't just otherworldly, they seem to come from several other worlds all at once, because there are other worlds in these.
This mother... Shout out Gunslinger. What's up, Roland? This is a fucking jam. I mean, and there ain't no two ways around it. Yeah, I don't think that you can get any more psychedelic than this. I don't think that you can get any more late 1960s. This just has Summer of Love tramp stamp tattooed all over its ass, right?
Yeah, but it's way different. I mean, than what I think when I think Summer of Love, and I get that. I do. So I'm not disagreeing. But like, I think Jefferson Airplane and Grateful Dead.
Yeah.
You know, this is
I knew that's what you were
This is
gonna say.
the fucking New Orleans version of that. This is the dirty, swampy version.
Yeah,
of that.
when you think Summer of Love, you think hate. When I think Summer of Love, I think just like LSD, I guess.
Oh, Hate Street is what you mean. I was
Yeah.
like, wait, what do you mean?
No,
hate?
yeah, no, I'm sorry.
I was confused.
HAIGHT.
I realized that a little bit later. I was like, wait,
I'm
what does
sorry.
he mean?
Yeah, no. Like,
No, I don't.
yeah, no. You think Hate Ashbury. I think,
You just think guys taking LSD and making music.
yeah.
Yeah.
Which is
That's
clearly
surely
what
what's
Dr.
going on
John
here.
did.
Well, because I remember reading about like the advent of the Dr. John character, which was he was in California and he's having some serious drug problems. So that's why he moved back to New Orleans, because he had to kind of help himself stop that. He was having a hard time staying sober.
On like,
I don't know
I'm
what it was.
assuming
Probably
fucking
a junk or
terrible
something,
drugs,
you know? Yeah. But so he came back and he created this Dr. John character. And originally he didn't want to be Dr. John himself. He had some other people in mind to play Dr. John. Seriously.
what the fuck? Really?
He was just like writing music and he wanted this other person to do it. And his producer was like, listen, no, you got to be Dr. John. That's the way it's going to work. And he convinced him. And obviously it's good that he did because of the result that came about.
Without a doubt. I mean, this fucking record is, man, it's wild. I mean, it's to me, it's a time capsule of psychedelia in a way that, as the description describes, man, it's a gumbo.
It's almost like a world music psychedelia, though.
Yeah.
It comes across, and it's probably just the fact that I'm not super familiar with what is it, Zydeco? Or
Yeah.
It's kind of, you know, but it just comes across very, very world music to me. Like the chanting. There are almost times it almost sounded kind of African to me, but then I realized that it wasn't that. It was like this Cajun kind of thing, you know, this Afro-Caribbean feel.
Yeah,
you know?
the Afro-Cuban or the Afro-Cuban, Afro-Caribbean.
Yeah.
Like that's the flavor that you're getting in there.
I'm glad they mentioned voodoo chants, because I got to say, as much as I do, first of all, I love his voice. It's great.
I do too.
But the parts that stuck out to me from almost every song on this that had them, at least, which was most, were the voodoo the chants. That's kind of, I didn't write voodoo chants, but I wrote like a lot of these songs have these soulful rhythmic chants that are going on in the background.
I just called them choruses, is what I called them.
But he was never singing them.
No,
you know,
no, and that's why I called them choruses, right? It was literally like this
a group of people.
Yeah, this group of people just hanging out in the back.
Sounds like primarily female. A lot of them, you know.
Yep. The second song, what is that? Dance
Kalinda,
Dance Kaluda, Baboom. Like that.
Yeah, Badoom.
That was in there. Dance Fambeau had that in there as well. Mama Roo had, I mean, fucking all of them. Right?
I Walk on Gilded Splinters had him in there. And a lot of them, like even the first song, Gree Gree Gumbo, yeah, yeah. It's like him singing.
Gree Gumbo, yeah.
And it's them singing the title of the song while he just kind of says stuff.
Yeah, he would like riff over the top of it.
He does a lot of, on Mama Roo, I wrote, he's barely singing the melody. He's like hinting at a melody. And then he's just kind of talking along with it. But the thing is, the way that he's doing it, you can hear what the melody is. He's just not really necessarily singing it.
That one was fantastic. I wrote it was part pop and part Caribbean jam.
Yeah, that was probably one of the poppiest ones. Definitely R&B. So it's kind of what it is.
But those chorus singers, fucking Jesus, like they're so good. I mean, so good.
And they had the wham bam thank you ma'am chant on that over and over again. Loved that.
Dance Fambeau though,
that was great.
I love his voice, like his voice in particular on that one. It like I love it. Love it.
Yeah, that was like jazz, or no, sorry, I'm looking at the next one.
Crocker
Court Bullion.
Yeah, dude, that
was like a jazz tune.
That was trippy, dude.
Yeah, it was like psychedelic jazz. I wrote halfway through this is an avant-garde jazz tune. Really, I mean, there's like stand-up bass, there's flute, and then eventually towards the end, they create kind of this super psychedelic landscape. Kind of like a '60s New Orleans version of Sonic Youth noise rock, almost.
In a lot of ways, yeah. But the flute is an absolute standout on that.
Big time.
I put 3 stars next to that one.
Same.
Loved it.
I put 3 stars next to Jump Steady. Which was the next track.
I did the same thing.
That was like another. It's kind of back to the cool thing was the Crocker Court Bullion was kind of a really avant-garde type of tune.
Yeah.
And then Jump Steady right back into like New Orleans R&B. Pretty accessible stuff.
I wrote that it sounded like it could be on the Blues Brothers soundtrack.
Yeah, for sure.
What I mean,
his vocals on that reminded me of Randy Newman, and I was like, I wonder if Randy Newman is like probably influenced by Dr. John.
Probably.
Just the way he was enunciating words.
Yeah. I mean, there's no doubt. The one that I put the most stars next to was Dance Kalunda Bamboom. I loved that one, dude. The fucking instrumentation and the chants. It was so mystical. Like,
I love that one too.
Every part about that.
That was like okay, so that was the one where the choir would like sing a melody and then the mandolin would repeat it back. There was a lot of mandolin on this record.
That I didn't pick up on. I mean, I also wasn't trying to pick out individual instrumentation.
It was because prominent on that one. If you listen to it again and with that in mind, you'd be like, oh, obviously.
Yeah.
Lots of percussion though. Very rhythmic, the whole thing. Dance Kalinda Badoom didn't have any Dr. John vocals on it, I don't think.
No.
Yeah.
They were all just the chants. But God damn it, I loved them. Loved them.
The only song I was familiar with Dr. John before this was I was in the right place, but it must have been the wrong time. Beautiful song. Yeah.
I know.
Should we read Rex's thoughts?
Yeah. So Rex said, this is nothing but Creole psychedelia. I'm sorry.
No, it's fine.
This is Joe Reed, actually. It's bluesy with catchy choruses. This is just voodoo on acid at a crab boil. I thought I was going to start tripping balls around the 5th track or so. I kept having to check my pupils in the mirror at work. It's highly experimental, creep-tastic, yet fun at times. Fun album to put on around Halloween time. Kidding. This is a great introspection into New Orleans during the 1970s. Late 60s Rex.
But
what do you think about the placement?
I'm curious if there's any more Dr. John on here. You think there could be? You think this is it?
Man, I don't know.
See, I don't know that I'm familiar enough, but I feel like he put out some very accessible stuff a little bit later on, like including that Right Place, Wrong Time song.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't be surprised if whatever album that was on on here.
And that's what I was just going to say. Like, this is a huge hole in my like listening knowledge. Like, I don't know enough about his overall catalog, I think, to make an argument about this is going to be it or we're going to get more. So
I don't know what to say here, because if there's more, then I'm good with where it's at, you know, but if not, I could see it moving up a little bit.
Yeah. And I'm okay with that too, because I don't hate it. In fact, it's so unique in what it's doing that I like its placement as a standalone. And if we get more Dr. John later on down the list, then I'm excited because I'm curious as to where he goes after this, because this is his debut record.
Yeah, this is the first one. This is the start of the character, Dr. John, because that's not the guy's. That's not his name.
Obviously, it's
a
Matt
character.
Rebenach.
Yeah.
But either way, I will be curious to see. And as it stands right now, 356. Sure, I dig it.
This would be a crazy window on vinyl.
Oh fuck yeah!
I would love to.
I mean, I'm gonna hunt for it.
Yeah, it's gonna be a looker for sure.
I'm absolutely gonna hunt for it. Did you add it to digital?
I don't think so, because I don't know if I'm gonna listen to it on digital, you know, but I want to listen to it on vinyl.
Yeah. And that's the funny thing, is that this is a record that I think I would listen to it a lot on vinyl.
Yeah.
Just because it is one that you can put on in the background, and it's fun to put on in the background because it would be one that people would allow their mind to just go wherever the music is going to. But if they stopped to think about what they were listening to, every single one of my friends would be like, what is it? Like, what are we listening to?
A couple of the tracks are like, be really good to have on in the background when you have friends over. And a couple of other ones are like, it's almost, it'd be too distracting, you know,
almost disconcerting.
Yeah.
Right. They'd be like, Jesus, what the fuck is this?
What are these like creepy chants? I feel like I'm getting a spell put on me or something.
Yeah. Are you trying to put me into a trance?
Do you have like a voodoo doll of me in the back room or something?
Yeah.
Yes, we do.
So, quick programming note. For those watching on YouTube, you can continue to watch and you're going to fucking be spoiled, because you're going to get what all of the podcast listeners are going to get next week.
Yeah.
Because next week is Memorial Weekend, and fuck all Memorial Weekend. I could give a shit about that, but I am going to be out of town and I'm going to be doing some family stuff, and it's more important for me to focus in on the family stuff that I'm doing.
Definitely.
Than what it is a podcast. I love doing the podcast, but it's like heavy family shit.
Every once in a while, there's going to be these things that just have to take precedence.
Yeah.
And this one is one of those things.
Yeah. So we're going to record a couple of bonus shows tonight that we'll release in purely podcast format next week, in lieu of the regular show.
Yep.
And of course, if you're watching on YouTube, you can hang out and you can watch it and get spoiled. But we're basically going to start our playlists.
Yep.
Right.
We're going to start the playlist. We're going to go through and pick our top songs off of the bottom 25 albums. And we're going to do 2 episodes. So we're going to cover the bottom 50.
That's right. But it is absolutely worth noting that on June, I'm going to fuck this date up. June 4th.
Something like that. I'll find out for sure.
Is that right?
I think it's June 4th.
I think it's June 4th too.
Yep. June 4th.
Okay. So on Friday, June 4th, we're going to have Justin Handel in studio.
For the first time. He's been on the podcast 3 times now.
Has he been on 3 times?
Well, 2 times for full episodes, I think.
And then the bonus.
Yeah.
That's right. He did one of the snub episodes.
He did Radiohead. He came on just for Radiohead.
That's right. That's right. So love Justin a ton and can't wait to have him in person. Like, that's going to be, because it's fun. It's fun with Justin when he's remote. I don't know. It's so seamless. It's so fun.
He fits right in.
Yeah, he's like, it's like a weird glove that it would be fun if this was a 3-person podcast. Like, Justin would be he would be the fun permanent third wheel. So-
Definitely. Yeah.
So it'll be
he's
fun.
going to be here.
Yeah, so he's going to be here, and and so that's going to be in 2 weeks from today. And in 2 weeks from today, we're going to be rounding out the top 50 from the 300. And so we're going to start at number 355 from 1970, the self-titled album from Black Sabbath.
354 is X-Ray Specs, Germ-Free Adolescence.
After that, a fucking gem from 1978. Again, the self-titled album from the Cars.
352, Eminem, the Slim Shady LP.
Are you a little bit surprised that this particular record is the first Eminem that we're getting?
Because, well, see, I like Marshall Mathers LP better.
Okay.
Maybe that's higher. Probably not. Though.
It has to be.
You think? For some reason, I'm thinking.
Do you think this is the only
one.
Eminem? No, fuck off.
I don't know.
You're going to get 6 Kanyes and 1 Eminem?
This list fucks. It sucks, dude.
This list does suck, but fuck that, dude. Marshall Mathers has to be on here. And I could even argue that you're going to get the Marshall Mathers LP and the Eminem show.
Maybe. We'll
Possibly.
See.
Last, to round out the first 50 out of the 300. It's crazy to think that we've got this far. 1973, Roxy Music, the album entitled For Your Pleasure.
Yep. Thank you guys again for sticking with us. We really do appreciate it.
Absolutely.
Another fun episode. We will see you guys next week for some bonus episodes that are coming up, 2 of them. And then we'll see you back for the Rolling Stones list in 2 weeks from today with Justin Handel on the podcast in studio.
Yes. Thanks, guys.
So thanks. See you next week.
Mm-hmm.
This list sucks. This list sucks. This list sucks. This list sucks. It sucks.
Still loud as shit.
Still loud. Still sucky.